and thank you for joining us at this 26th annual BizFair event. If you're joining us in person at the Renton Technical College, please stop by the Shared Work booth and say hello to my colleagues Raphael and Renee. And if you're joining us online for the virtual presentation, thank you for being here today. My name is Rowley, and I'm a program coordinator with Shared Work, and I'm working in Aberdeen, Washington on the Western Washington coast. I'm here today to tell you a little bit more about the Shared Work program and its advantages for employers and employees. In the United States, there are 27 states that operate shared work or short time compensation programs. Here I've included a link where you can learn more about this at the U.S. Department of Labor. Now, if you're a business that's operating in multiple states, you might want to work through each of those state departments to establish a shared work program in each of the businesses, in each of the states where you operate your business. In Washington state, we currently have over 1,000 employers participating in the shared work program, and that has an impact of over 20,000 employees who are able to keep their jobs. And when the employer needs to reduce hours, they reduce their hours and allow those employees to collect a portion of their unemployment insurance benefit. This allows the employer to conserve their payroll costs, and it allows the employee to continue working, maintain their job security, remain able and available for work with their employer, and the employer gives them 24 hours notice if their hours are reduced. So of these 20,000 employees currently using shared work, perhaps some of them are working full time, perhaps some of them are working half their normal hours, or anywhere in between. The employer has the ability to adjust their hours week by week, and again with a 24-hour notice, so that the employer, if they experience supply chain delays or they lose a contract, they're able to retain their workers and allow those workers to collect partial unemployment benefits without having to search for other work. So, as you can imagine, this is a powerful tool for helping employees feel a sense of job security and job stability, but also it helps protect their income while also allowing the employer to protect their income and reduce their payroll costs as needed. I'll explain that in the next few slides with a payment scenario. Here in Washington state, our program is unique. Across the country, we see that employers using shared work are primarily in the manufacturing industry, primarily large businesses, large employers, and employers that have been in business operating for more than 20 years. In Washington state, we have a fair amount of small businesses. We have a more diverse group of industries that are represented here, and in this chart, I've shown the top 30 types of employers currently using the shared work program. So you'll see that we've got several from manufacturing, like machine shops. We have construction industry highly represented, from plumbing, heating, and air conditioning contractors all the way through um, to all across the job site and in more civil projects. And we also have full service restaurants, professional services, daycare, landscaping services, dental offices, and others in the healthcare industry. So if you're an employer that employs more than two employees in Washington state, this program could really benefit you and your workers. I'll tell you more about that. The best way to show you how the benefit of this program is through the words of employers in our state, Washington state, who are currently using the program and using it to help them retain their workers, adjust their business, and respond to the needs of the current economic conditions without jeopardizing workers and their jobs. So, for example, here we have Orion Industries in Vancouver, and they say, At times, you may need to reduce hours or get assistance with payroll while adjusting your business to the economy. Our employees have been very excited to keep their job and maintain their income with the shared work program. And we have been excited to keep our skilled, trained workers. Shared work helps us keep our business running full speed. So, and I have a few other quotes here. Please take a moment to read those. I'll read another one with Colshan Brewing in Bellingham. This is a restaurant, and they say what felt like the right thing for our employees was not just to pick 5 or 10 of our newest employees and let them go because of the pandemic. And so shared work saved us. So, since the pandemic, it's been highly utilized by businesses and employers. And in our current economic conditions with supply chain delays and contracts that are changing, and a lot of uncertainty in the economy. This program protects both employers and employees, and it offers a much smarter alternative to than employers considering layoffs or reducing worker hours without offering this program to its employees. Here in this scenario, I'll explain how an employer using shared work has the option during to reduce their payroll costs by 20%. So Rena here is she runs a remodeling company and they're experiencing supply chain delays. It's impacting her job sites. She employs 40 employees and needs to reduce her payroll costs by 20%. Now, normally we would think that she would have to let go of 8 workers in order to reduce her costs by 20%. But instead, she finds that shared work is a more equitable option for her workplace. So she enrolls in the shared work program and adds her 40 employees as participants to the program. And she decides to reduce all of her workers by 20% instead of reducing 20% of her overall staff. So, and these workers, although they will be paid 80% of their wages from RENA, they're now available to receive 20% of their weekly unemployment insurance benefit amount. So let me explain that in a payment scenario that kind of makes it a little more clear here. So on the left, this is what employers originally think that their options are when they need to cut payroll costs. They need to let go of workers, which means that your workers are either fully working for you at their full and out full-time rate, or they're at home collecting full unemployment insurance benefits, and it's having a bigger impact to their experience rating. And the other part of that is that if the workers that are some let go and some are still working full time, those full time workers are now covering the entire workload of the workers who got let go, and they might be experiencing more job insecurity. They might be concerned about their livelihood and ability to provide for their family. And so, when an employer says we are a shared work employer, that means that they have some guarantee that they'll be treated more equitably than with layoffs, which tend to place the entire burden of the economy on the shoulders of relatively few employees. So on the right here, now we've just put everyone's hourly rate as $20 an hour just to help explain the scenario in terms of nickels and dimes and the bottom line for employers. And so here, these 40 employees will have their hours reduced by 20%. So, for example, this worker here who normally works 40 hours a week and makes $800 a week, they will be reduced down to 32 hours a week instead. So they will receive a weekly wage from you for $640, and they'll be eligible for a partial payment of their unemployment insurance claim. For this, in this scenario, that is $80. So it brings their weekly wage plus their unemployment insurance benefit amount to a weekly income of $720. Now, part time employees are also eligible for the shared work program, Any permanent employee is eligible for shared work. We'll explain more of the details of that here. But this employee normally works 30 hours a week for RENA. Now they're reduced down to 24 hours. They'll receive a partial unemployment insurance benefit in the amount of $60 for that week, and they'll receive 80% of their weekly wage from their employer, RENA, for a total of 540. So, as you can see, the program doesn't make the employee completely whole, but it replaces that portion of their lost income and helps them remain on board, gives them job stability and job security. For shared work has relatively few requirements for the employers. Must be a legally registered business in Washington State. Must have an Employment Security Department ESD number, and you must have at least two employees that you can put on your plan. Now, that doesn't mean that you are immediately reducing anybody's hours. We see a lot of employers that simply enroll their business and enroll their workers, and they keep that program available to them in their back pocket as basically a safety net or an insurance program for their payroll so that if they do need to reduce payroll costs, they are ready. If they need to adjust one worker's hours or two, or one department, they can make those changes. They provide a 24-hour notice to that worker, and the workers remain able and available for all of their normal working hours. So, this actually is a very flexible and convenient program for both the employer and the employee. Now, the employee requirements is that they have worked at least 680 hours during their base year. That's what allows them to qualify for an unemployment insurance benefit. Now, I'll say that that is different for employee to employee because it's based on how many hours they worked in their base year. Perhaps you don't know that your employee has two jobs or worked an extra gig over the holidays and was able to add more hours and would therefore have a higher weekly benefit amount than the next employee who might. So it varies based on that individual worker's history. Now, as an employer, if you're not sure if your employees will qualify or not, you can call our customer service team. We'll look into your account within a few moments. We'll let you know if you're eligible for the shared work program. And we can look at your individual employees and let you know who's eligible to receive those benefits and who's eligible to be put on the shared work plan based on all of the hours. And so all permanent employees may participate in shared work, and the last thing is that shared work employees commit to being able and available for all of their normal hours. So the employer can reduce hours if need be, but they maintain their workers and have workers that are ready to go and ready to get back to full capacity. And then the last thing is that employers commit to keeping providing the benefits to workers while they're on reduced hours. So if let's just say for the next month or next 4 weeks in a row, you reduce your employee hours by 50%, those employees would still receive their normal benefits, if that's health insurance benefits or contributions to their retirement savings. Those programs stay in place while participating in a shared work or short time compensation program. So here's how it works. Any interested employer should contact Shared Work to find out their eligibility in minutes. So you'll see that sometimes we might have a longer lines on the claimant side of things, but this 800 number, 1-800-752-2500 and option 3 will take you to our staff, and we are a dedicated team that supports the employer, and we can answer questions, we can provide training and orientation. We can help with every step of the way to making sure that you are able to get the most benefit out of this program and to understand all the requirements. Next, the employer assigns a shared work representative and submits an employer plan application and a participant list. The employer plan application is a two-page document, one page front and back, and it's very, very simple. It can take 15 minutes. If you're tech savvy and you use e-services, you can you can also apply online through our ESD website, e-services, and submit your application that way. And the participant list, let us know who to add to your shared work plan. And when you go to renew, we encourage employers to renew year after year. You'll just refresh that list of participants, submit a new application. We also encourage employers who are using third-party payroll representatives or um, to that they can assign two shared work representatives. So if you're an employer and you really need to have this managed by other people in your plan, um, you have the option of assigning two shared work representatives to have access to those accounts and to support you, the employer, in managing your plan. So after your plan is approved, and currently we're taking about 72 hours to review and respond to shared work applications. And next, after the approval process, you'll ask your employees to enroll in e-services to get an account ready so that they can be paid. And when their hours are reduced, they will file a weekly shared work claim, which is different than an unemployment insurance claim. So, next, the employee, after they file the claim, they'll receive earned wages from you for the hours that they do work, and we will provide a share of unemployment insurance benefits to those workers when their hours are reduced. So, as you can see, it is helping you save payroll and it is providing supplemental income to these workers and giving them that job security that they really need in this kind of uncertain economy. And the last step, your shared work representative or two, having access to your account, will review weekly payment reports for accuracy, just making sure that the employees have claimed properly and processed things. So it's a system of checks and balances to make sure the program's being properly utilized. Here I have for you the apply by options for applying by e-services. You can also complete this two-page application and upload it to our secure portal, or you can send it to us by fax. So I've included all the information here, and as you can see, the application is only 2 pages, very simple, and you can renew year after year. There is no cost for the employer to sign up. There is no cost for the employer to participate, and there is no cost to renew year after year. So, as a best practice for looking out for employee retention, keeping those skilled workers, and keeping that sense of workplace morale where we're all in this together, the economy can go up and down in the cycles that it does, but the employer is going to look out for the pocketbook of the employee and provide them supplemental income when they don't need to be fully utilized. And so that's a great option for workers. And year after year, you can make that just a part of your normal business routine and embrace it as an employee retention strategy. I am really proud to share some of these Washington State statistics on our program. When we evaluated our past employees and offered them a survey asking them to tell us about their experience with shared work, 97% of employers said that the shared work program improved their employee morale and their workplace and the overall workplace morale. 98% of employers who signed up for shared work told us that the program helped retain skilled workers. And 99% of employers who signed up for shared work in Washington state said that they would recommend this program to another employer. So, as you can see, the benefits far outweigh the 15 minutes a year that it takes you to sign up, even though it might seem like there's administrative burden by having this payment reports and having people make filing and signing up for e-services and creating accounts. The benefits far outweigh the burden or the administrative burden because they allow employers to retain their staff and um, reduce hours instead of cutting jobs. And in a current market where there's about two workers for every available job, um, employee retention is probably at the top of your list. And our program has been proven to raise workplace morale and keep skilled workers retained by their employer. So here are the ways to get in touch with Shared Work. Our customer service team is available to support you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And again, if you're just learning about Shared Work, we recommend just giving us a call and we'll tell you if you're eligible. We can look at your employees and tell you who on your staff is eligible to receive, to be eligible for an unemployment insurance claim. And we also have a variety of ways to just learn more about the program. So we have a 2-minute YouTube video that you can watch. We offer local events and statewide webinars, which are open to any business at no cost. Also, those links will take you to programs where you can learn about other programs within the ESD umbrella. And we keep recorded copies and PowerPoint presentation slides for you to view and have on hand. So I recommend checking out those links so that as an employer, you can stay up to date on the latest information within the Employment Security Department. Next, we also have a weekly webinar every Wednesday through the end of the year at 11:15. You can jump on into our webinar and ask your questions to our program experts that will be there to support you and assist you and just help you along the way. And then last, we have a shared work info card that you can download and just have on hand to learn more about our program. One of the main offerings that we're doing or to get the word out across our state is that we offer what we have is called the Business Resource Webinar Series or the Employer Resource Webinar Series, where we offer statewide webinars that are available to any business at no cost. And we also partner with local chambers of commerce or local um, business organizations to do webinars at a local level. And so we have two links here that will take you to these programs. And it really is a kind of a shared work plus one, where we'll tell you about shared work and we'll also tell you about some of the other really important programs within that Employment Security Department umbrella. So, work opportunity tax credit and federal bonding. If you're hiring new employees, this is a really important program that can save you thousands of dollars. The unemployment insurance tax and wage reporting will give you the tips and tools for helping you submit your employee wages and do the reporting that you need to do as an employer. Paid leave and walk cares, those are tax programs. They're relatively new. Our shared work program's been around since 1983. These two other programs are new, and therefore it's a lot of um, questions you might be asked by your employees, a lot of resources to keep on hand, a lot of changes in the law. And so our webinar series is really about presenting this information to employers in a concise way, giving them the information they need to help make informed decisions, to help keep their workplace informed, to respond to employees with questions about working in these programs, and also through the labor market information, how to look up jobs and wages and occupations, how to look at your county's employment statistics and wage statistics to help you, whether that's adjusting your worker's salary or understanding how much people should be paid or how many jobs are available, or if you're interested in investing or moving your business into different growing or extending your business, we have regional economists that are here to help you and answer questions. And we do webinars with them where they can tell you the latest and greatest about what's going on in their department. So, again, that is our webinar series, more like Shared Work Plus One. But we tell you what employers need to know within the Employment Security Department umbrella, and try to make these resources easy for you. And also, these events that we have, these webinars, are recorded and the PowerPoint slides are available. So if you are, traveling in the fast lane, you can just click on these links here to see the webinar, to see the events, and you can watch a previously recorded webinar and download the presentation slides to have as a resource. Last thing I have is our Wednesdays, our weekly Q&A, where you can drop in at 11:15 and ask your questions about shared work. We also recommend, if you think that another employer might be interested in the program, this is a really good first step. So you can encourage them to join us online Wednesdays at 11:15 a.m. You can register on Eventbrite, and we look forward to answering your questions and supporting you as best we can with um, information about the shared work program. One final thing that I wanted to share is that we encourage you to find and reach out to your local business services team. So that's through your WorkSource Washington or worksourcewa.com, and use /locator. This is a tool that will put you in contact with your local business services team. These are people that are available to support you. They're in your neck of the woods, they're in your neighborhood, and they offer services at no cost and will tell you about opportunities and benefits that are available to you. So if you go to the WorkSource Locator tool, you'll want to choose your area of business, and you'll want to click the button next to where it has the green suitcase for business services. And that will show you your most local business services team. And we encourage you to reach out to that contact and say, hey, what can you do for my business? And they will be more than happy to help you and walk you through the programs that are available, help you with if you're thinking of adding a new division or growing or expanding or entering a new market. They're here to help you. If you're also having a hard time finding and the right fit for your employee, they will help you find workers as well. So it's a really good resource for you. Wouldn't want you to miss out on that. So thank you for letting me just put that plug in there. And the last thing I'd like to invite you to is our next webinar, which is Tuesday, October 25th. We'll be presenting about shared work, and we'll have our team with the paid family and medical leave programs. And so you'll be able to learn more about each of those programs at that event. Again, our events are open to any business at no cost, and you'll be able to access the recording and the slides so that you'll have those resources ongoing. So, thank you for your time today, for joining me at the BizFair. Again, if you're at the physical event at the Renton Technical College, please stop by our shared work booth and say hello to my colleagues, Raphael and Renee. And if you're joining us online, I appreciate you taking the time uh, to listen to our presentation and let me tell you about the shared work program. And I hope that we'll hear from you on our phone lines and that you'll consider signing up, whether you need it this week or not. We're here for you, and we think it's a really valuable use of your time and energy to be a shared work employer and to keep this program as a employee retention strategy to and to keep this program on hand if you need it. It really has been a positive. It had an extremely positive impact to workers and employers across the state, and we look forward to supporting you with your business in 2022. Thank you, and have a nice rest of your day. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm Malcolm. I'm Program Coordinator 2 for the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and Federal Bonding Units at ESD. I joined the unit in March of 2021, and I recently stepped into this role focusing more on outreach specifically. I'm going to go over both of these programs in brief, and unfortunately, while we're unable to attend virtually today, please don't hesitate to send us an email or give us a call if you have any questions about the programs at all. If you want materials, any kind of questions, don't hesitate. Please go ahead and contact us. So to begin with, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit is a federal tax credit that provides an incentive for employers to hire people who may have difficulties becoming employed for a variety of different reasons. With this program, employers are rewarded for giving people a chance. There are a few exceptions to the businesses and individuals that qualify. Nonprofit companies can only utilize the veteran categories against their Social Security tax liability. Indian tribal governments of affiliates of a tribal government and tribally owned businesses generally do not qualify for the WOTC because they aren't subject to federal tax. Business owners, as well as individuals who are related to the business owner, do not qualify as well. It's very important to note that federal law requires that applications be submitted within 28 days from an employee's start date. Though if employers have issues submitting them in our online system, they can fulfill this requirement by submitting them by email or postal mail and then contacting us to enter them online. And as you can see here, participating employers can reduce their federal income tax liability by $2,400 to $9,600 per eligible employee. So if you had 10 employees, it would simply be a multiple of 10 in that. It can add up depending how many people it is. And moving on, we will begin looking at categories used in the program as well as important criteria to be considered. It's one note that's important is more than one category can be chosen and applied for. In most applications, more than one category is chosen and applied for. When staff are verifying information to make a determination on the application, we certify for the highest possible credit. All applications must be for a first-time hire. If the individual has ever worked for the employer before, they are not eligible for the tax credit. There are 5 target groups for veterans. As you can see here, 4 of them. Actually, this one is also a veteran on the top. I missed that. That's the food stamps, 3 of the last 15 months. And then this shows, the columns show here the split between the partial credit if they worked at least 120 hours, but less than 400 hours, which is roughly just a little over half depending on each category, and then worked at least 400 hours. So in this case, they range from the whole gamut from 2,400 to 9,600. And in the veteran category case, we need the employer/employee to provide documents like a DD-214 or other documents that show the dates of service and disability status if that's one of the categories that they are applying for. And again, you can reach out to us if you have questions about what qualifying documents those would be. If those documents have not been provided after 90 days, these applications are denied. However, that denial can be appealed for up to a year, as can all others, including multiple times. We're also happy to answer any questions about forms of supporting documentation via email as well. There are 7 non-veteran categories that an employee can qualify for. The qualifications for hours worked and the formulas are the same. The only variance pertains to the long-term TANF category because as you can see by the chart, that one category is not available for the worked at least 128 hours but less than 400 hours, whereas all of the other categories on this slide and the previous slide are. We only have one category that holds an age restriction, and that is the food stamp category. The individual must be under the age of 40 and at least 18 years of age to qualify. Once a WOTC staff member has verified criteria and certified an application, it is the responsibility of the employer to provide the certification to their accountant to receive the credit from the IRS. So that end of it, receiving the credit, happens when you file taxes, not with the state workforce agency like us that processes the applications. The credit can be very beneficial to the employer. As I noted before, these amounts can add up very quickly, and it could be the difference between investing in some new aspect of your business, like buying a new oven that you've been putting off. Now we're going to move to the forms. So the 2 forms used are the 8850 and the 9061. Both employers provide both forms to their new hires with the rest of their onboarding packet in most cases. And this is recommended as a best practice because it maximizes your chances of getting the credits. Other times, people do it perhaps in a smaller business just on an ad hoc basis when they hire someone that they think may qualify. And so both of these are filled out by the employer and employee in conjunction. It says which parts. And then we recommend that you keep those paper copies to maintain your own records. But for our online filing system, you essentially are just going through and answering the same questions on the paper documents and entering them into the online filing system. So, and then this one is the 9061. Should there be times that the employer is unable to enter an application by the 28-day time limit due to system issues, copies can be mailed to us or sent via email to our group email, which I'll include at the end here, to hold for the submit date. Once the employer notifies us that the applications have been entered online, we will use the postmark date or the timestamp on the email to modify the submit date so the applications will not be denied. Just to say, if you have any technical issues, just send the application in, and that way we'll make sure that we get them figured out before the deadline passes. And moving on, this is the website. So while the Work Opportunity Tax Credit is a federal tax credit, it applies only to federal taxes. Each state workforce agency has a unit that does it. So for Washington State, this is our specific site for it. It includes links, instructions, outreach materials, like brochures and fact sheets that explain the program and the requirements, deadlines, et cetera, as well as our contact information. On the e-services page, you'll be able to use your Secure Access Washington credentials to access the WOTC online filing system that I referenced before. There's also a link on this page to create a SAW account if one has not been created yet. And it's important to note that it's a fairly simple process, and we're happy to walk you through it. If you're trying to sign up for WOTC, most businesses, if not all, already have a SAW account for other purposes, such as unemployment taxes and other state agencies. So now we're going to move on to the federal bonding program. This is a separate program that our unit also administers. It was created in 1966 by the US Department of Labor. And the broad overview of the federal bonding program is that it's meant to insure employers against employee acts of dishonesty as a means to incentivize them to consider employees that may be perceived as risky, to give them a chance with employment, knowing that if there are employee acts of dishonesty, that they are completely covered with no deductible and no charge to the employer for the bond. So the bond provides 100% coverage and has no deductible. They range from $5,000 to $25,000. They cover the first 6 months of employment. At this time, we are able to extend that for another 6 months per the federal government. And bonds can be applied to any full or part-time employee paid wages with federal taxes deducted from pay. And it's not always easy to find employers that are willing to hire the justice involved or others, but it's also mutually beneficial for the employers because, particularly at a time when hiring is difficult and retention is difficult, there are a pool of workers that have not been considered in many cases that are highly motivated and sometimes legally required to find work and are highly motivated as well to keep those jobs because in many cases they do have more limited employment prospects. So the people that qualify for this program, generally we highlight the justice involvement because that is one of the common ones, but it's actually a pretty broad umbrella that includes people with limited to no work experience, veterans that have been dishonorably discharged, people that have been in chemical dependence treatment, or basically job seekers that are perceived as risky in general. If there's something about their past that considers that is a barrier to their employment, that qualifies them, and all the employer needs to do is essentially request that with the bond form that we will go over. We Bonds do not cover liability due to poor workmanship, job injuries, work accidents, bail bonds, court bonds, or bonding needed for self-employment. The only restriction is that self-employed people cannot be covered by fidelity bonds. Bonding and WOTC can also easily be used for the same individual. An employer can obtain the bond and also put in an application for the work opportunity tax credit under the ex-felon category. The main criteria for the tax credit from WOTC is that the individual must have a hire date no more than 1 year from the date they were released from prison or on the date they entered or left a work release program. Although the bonds are meant for new hires, they can also be issued as an incentive to retain an employee who is facing the loss of employment. This is because at times the employer only requests permission to do a background check, but has asked no questions about their new hire's past. When the background check comes back, the incentive provided by being able to put the bonds in place may help the individual retain their job. The bonds can also be used for promotional opportunities as well. If an employee is up for a promotion and an employer would like added peace of mind, we can issue bonds in that case to an individual who is not a new hire. A promotion into a position that requires handling cash, for example, would be one case where a bond could be useful. Requesting a bond is a very, very simple and quick process. The form that is shown on the slide here is filled out by the employer and sent to our bonding email address. We will enter the bond request on a federal website and email the confirmation to the employer. The employer will be issued the policy documents by the insurance company that handled the bonds via email and or postal mail. So as you can see, this is a one-page, one-sided application. It's very, very simple, very quick to fill out. It's a low investment in terms of time, and it is free to the employer. And generally, the turnaround time for that is very quick, and the coverage starts immediately. And also to clarify, this is a federally funded program that, again, each state workforce agency administers, but it is a private insurance company that issues bonds like they would issue other bonds for contractors that you may be familiar with. It's just that they're funded by, the program is funded by the government and administered by the state workforce agency. This is the website for our bonding site. It also has that email where we need the application sent to. If you have any questions, we're happy to hear from you at that address, and also the same phone number that we'll list at the end for both WOTC and bonding. We can answer questions there as well. And this site, similarly to the WOTC site, has some brochures, explanations, stats, a fact sheet if you want any more information or details on coverage or any other details about the program. So again, those are the sites. And then Alice Barney is the program coordinator for both of the programs. She would be the one that is receiving those bonds and approving them. And we're always available to answer questions. And this is our group phone number for both WOTC and bonding. Again, feel free to call us if you have any kind of questions about the programs or anyone that you want to refer to us that you think might benefit from the programs. We're more than happy to get those as well. And then that's Alice's email as well. Just want to say thank you all for your time. Hope you have a great weekend. We hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.